Hello everybody and thanks for tuning in. My name is Richard and welcome to today's video. As you may know, this is all about me learning new things and sharing what I learn with others because you might find it useful too. If you want to come along on this journey with me, then please don't forget to subscribe to the channel because there will be quite a few videos going up over the coming months. I recently did a video about taking self-portrait type photos and came across an issue about how to compose a photo and getting the focus point exactly where I wanted it, being the subject and the photographer. That prompted me to investigate using Lightroom Tethering, which is where you can attach your camera to the computer and you can see what you're shooting on the computer and control it with the mouse. So you can have the computer next to you, camera's over there, and you can click the shutter button essentially with the mouse here. So in today's video I'm going to run through Lightroom Tethering and show you how it could be useful, how you could use it in certain real world situations, and how to set it up, what all the options do, how to connect it, everything you need to know about getting the photos from your camera into the computer using Lightroom Tethering, but being able to compose and focus and do all sorts of things without even touching the camera. So let's take a look. And before we start, you can jump forward to 19 minutes and 50 seconds to see the quick version of this tutorial. What is tethering, I hear you cry? Or maybe not. So like I just said, tethering is where you can connect your camera to the computer and it connects using its USB lead. And the view from the back of the camera, I don't know if you can see the camera, but the view from the screen that you'll get on the back of the camera is transferred to the computer. It makes it easy to see what the camera sees without actually being behind the camera. Why? Well, perhaps you wanted to do what I was doing the other day, where you wanted to get into position, sit down, I have my guitar, pose yourself, but you really can't see what the camera's seeing, so you can just quick look at the computer. If it's ready, reach out, click the mouse, 10-second timer, picture's taken. Of course, if your camera has a flip screen, then if that's the only reason you'll be using the tethering, then you would need to. My cameras don't have a flip screen, but what it also does, it gets the pictures from the camera into the computer, into your directory, into your Lightroom catalogue in one go. So there are more than one benefits to doing it this way. Perhaps whatever you're shooting, you want to view straight away on the big screen to check the quality. You might have a model in the studio, or you might want to see something really close up on a bigger screen rather than the small screen on the back of your camera. Straight to the computer, straight into Lightroom, zoom in, take it again if it's not exactly what you wanted, rather than taking the card out, importing, then checking. So it has benefits that way as well. Maybe the model wants to look at them. Maybe you've taken a picture of the model and you want to talk about it together. Adjust the pose that the model's in, talk about the lighting, adjust the lights, things like that, that are easier to do on a big screen than on the back of the camera, I think. So yeah, there's a few reasons why you might want to do this. It's not just one or two reasons, so it's definitely worth bearing in mind. So let's talk quickly about how we actually set the camera up. It's really straightforward. Anyone with a little bit of technical knowledge and anyone that owns a camera and is even thinking about doing this should be able to do this without any problems. The biggest confusing thing is which lead to use, but all that can be explained pretty straightforward. So your camera will come with a USB lead to connect it to the computer. There are many different leads, many different connections as technology progresses and things change. A new lead comes out, a new connection. I've written down the three that I've got for my three cameras, and I have seen them on other cameras as well, so these are probably quite common connections. Those three are, and I am going to have to read these because I can't remember them. You know, there's three different ones. They all sound pretty similar as well, but basically I've got the 1DX Mark II, which takes a USB 3 micro B cable. I have the Canon 5D Mark III, which takes the USB mini cable, the USB mini A cable. And I have the Sony a6300, which I think takes the USB mini B cable. Now there's loads of cables out there. It's I apologise now if I've got the names of these ones wrong, because there's just... It's not my fault. Why is there so many? Sort it out. Why can't it just be like a connection? Anyway, so that's all the different leads that you need, and like I say, you'll get one with the camera, so it shouldn't be too problematic to at least get the right lead for the camera. Plug the lead into the camera, other end into the USB. Straightforward, simple. That's the easy bit. So now we've plugged the camera into the lead. We plugged the lead into the camera, and we've plugged the other end into the computer. We're now going to jump into Lightroom and show you how to set it up and all the different options that you have on Lightroom. So we will go and do that now. Okay, so here we are in Lightroom, and there are a few things that you have to do before you actually start shooting. So click on File, Tethered Capture, and Start Tethered Capture, and that gives you this little box with a few settings. There's a few options here, so I'm going to talk about the naming section first, because the other sections are kind of connected. The naming area is what the files are going to be called when they're saved to your hard drive. I think it would be sensible to use session name and sequence, but you can use anything that you want, that's whatever your naming criteria normally is. You can see there's a few different options here, and check out this video if you want to understand those a bit better. So now we're going to talk about the session name and the destination, because they are kind of linked. So I'm going to call this Tethering, can't spell, Tethering test. And basically wherever you save this session, it's going to set up a folder. So if you want to put this straight into your hard drive and straight into your library and leave it where it's going to be forever, then the easiest thing that I've found is to navigate to the destination where you're going to save it. So we are going to go to Library 2020, and it's going to save in my 2020 folder. It's worth doing this properly. Spend a little bit of time here, because it will make your job when you finish the shoot a lot easier, because everything will be in the same place, everything will be renamed, and it will be in your catalogue ready to go. So just take a few seconds to do this. So I've navigated my master library. I've put it in Lightroom Library 2020. I've called it Tethering Test, and the images will go into a folder called Tethering Test on the hard drive. So I'll show you that bit in a second. You can go a step further if you want to, and you can add to collection. So let's say there's someone in your studio or somebody with you that wants to review the images on an iPad. If you've got it networked, you can click in here, add it to one of your Lightroom mobile folders, and when that imports into your library, it will go into that collection as well and sync through to your iPad. So that is a really good feature. Technology, ain't it grand? The information section is self-explanatory. You can apply your copyright or any metadata setups you have, and obviously any keywords that you need. Pretty similar to the options that you do when you do a normal import, so there's nothing really groundbreaking there. The last option is to disable auto advance. Now, as a standard, when you take a photo from when you're tethered, it will automatically pop up into Lightroom, and Lightroom will select that photo. What will happen if you tick the disable auto advance? It means that it won't go to the next photo taken. So you'll take the photo, and instead of Lightroom flicking to that photo that's just imported, it will stay on the one that's on your screen, and you will have to manually go to the next photo. It's great if someone's reviewing a photo with somebody or looking at the work that's coming in, and they don't want to, every time you take a photo or someone takes a photo, Lightroom flicks to that new photo and they've got to go back to the one they were looking at. So tick that if you're going to have two people working on the project at the same time. You want one on the computer, one at the camera and you don't want the computer to flick to the new photo that's just imported. We're going to leave it unticked for now because it doesn't matter too much at the moment. Okay, moving on. So we are now going to hit OK to start the tethering session. And this is the message that you get if your camera isn't connected. So I didn't connect it so that we could see what would come up. Easily remedied. You just make sure that you connect your camera and that message should go, and it's disappeared. So we now have the camera recognized in Lightroom, which is what we want. So you'll see this little control panel pop up, which allows you to take control of the camera if you want to. We're going to ignore that for the moment because we're just going to take a couple of shots from the camera and see them pop up on the screen without having to use this little box here. So we're going to do some work from the camera, take a photo, and we'll see. And there's our first photo that we've taken. Straight into the camera, straight into tethering test, you can see in the folder down here. Straight into tethering test and renamed as your project and the number sequence after it. So that is the first photo taken. It's in. You can now snap away and the photos will come in. I'll show you quickly. So I'm on this photo now. So I've just taken a second one. And you can see in the bottom left hand corner here that we've jumped to the new photo. What I'll do is, just to make it, let me move the glass. So you'll see the new one that's going to come in now. Without the glass. Okay, so that is proof that it's auto advancing to the next picture. I'll show you this cog in a minute, but if we disable the auto advance, I'm now going to remove the box and I'll take another photo. And you'll see that photo come in, but Lightroom hasn't jumped to it. It's down here, but you can see we're still on the last one that came in. So that's just a way of how that bit works that I explained a couple of minutes ago that was probably a little bit badly explained. Okay, so having a look at the tethering control panel now, because you can obviously carry on shooting from the camera if you want to, or if you wanted to shoot from the computer, you could do that too. So that's what this little tethering control panel is here. This is what I used when I did a photo, my self-portraits recently of me with my guitar, because it meant that I could see what was on the screen and shoot from using this button here. So the first thing that you need to do is click the live button. That will then turn off the view in the camera and give you the view on your screen, as you can see here. And just to prove that is happening, I'm waving at the camera now. There we go. So that's my up and down ducky hand. So that is a live view of what's coming out of the camera. And you have this green light here that shows your live view. This does make the controls on the camera redundant now, so if you try and adjust the camera settings it won't work, certainly not on my Canon anyway. So you have to adjust everything using this control panel here. I tend to position a control panel just above the thumbnails and just below the preview window. Because then it means you can see the thumbnails, you've got your control panel and you've got your preview window all in the same place. If you want to analyze the photo as it comes in, i.e. you want to see it in Lightroom in the proper high-res version, you can obviously drag this out of the way and there's the photos behind. Or if you wanted to, you could make this, click in the corner, drag it and make it smaller, and then you can look at all three of them. You've got the control panel, what comes into Lightroom, and your live view here. So that is the live view screen. So looking back down to the control panel, you have the option of adjusting the usual suspects, the shutter speed, the aperture, the ISO, and the white balance, things like that. And anything you do will be reflected on the live view. So I can, let's drag that up there. So for example, if I, just to prove a point, if I put the ISO up to 6400, eventually, there we go, that is really, really overexposed. Let's just take it down so you can see what I'm talking about. So you can see that this, what you see is what you get kind of thing. So you can get the exposure right from the screen here. You can also apply a preset if you wanted to as it comes in. So let's, for the point of this, let's just put a black and white preset on it. And we are gonna take a photo from here. Let's just move that to one side. We're gonna take a, oh, hang on a second, let me put auto advance back on so that we can jump to that photo. So we're gonna take a photo here. And we'll see as it comes in, it should apply the black and white preset. There we go. So it's come in and it's applied the preset that you want to apply. You can, of course, just hit reset to go back to the original raw file, like that. Although I don't know why you'd want to apply a preset when it comes in. We're shooting in RAW for a reason. We want to edit it. Each photo is going to be slightly different maybe, but you know, if you need to, you need to. The only downside with this control panel is there is no way to focus. So there's no double click feature like you find on the EOS utility app. And you have to use these little arrows, which are a little bit fiddly. I'm just going to rearrange the bottles to show you what I mean. Okay, so I've quickly staggered the bottle and the box, and I've gone down to f2.8 to give a shallower depth of field. You can clearly see now that the box is in focus and the bottle isn't. No, so the arrows facing right takes the focus back, and the arrows facing left bring the focus towards the camera. So if we click on these arrows to the left, you'll see that the box will get out of focus, and eventually the bottle has come into focus. That's not ideal. It would be good, like I say, if you could just double click on somewhere in the screen and focus like you can on the EOS utility app. It would make a huge difference and make the focusing so much easier. But you know, it is what it is. So it's not ideal from that point of view. So we have the name of the camera over here, Canon EOS 1DX Mark II. I guess if there's more than one camera attached, you could flip between the two different cameras. That might be something to try. Here's the live button that we discussed. We discussed the focusing, all the exposure settings, and the develop settings when you import. The shutter button is here, which you can hit with the mouse, or you can, on a Mac, you can do the function button, so the FN button and F12 has taken a photo, and we're going to see a new photo come in. There we go. Or just F12 on a Windows on a proper keyboard. And that is basically it. It is pretty simple to use. This cog, let me show you this cog quickly. So basically this cog just takes you back. Where is it? This cog takes you back to the first window that we had. So if you want to change where you're saving to, if you want to add the disable auto advance like we did, you can do all that. What we've got here, we've got 6 photos, and if you go over to the hard drive, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 photos. And that's it, the end. Thank you for watching. Please hit that like button if you like the video, and thank you if you are already subscribed. And if you're not already subscribed, please hit that subscribe button, because there's going to be a lot more videos similar to this, and that is pretty much it for today. Feel free to check out my other videos, and I will see you in the next video. See you later. Okay, so all you need to do is connect your wire to the USB port and into your camera. Click on File, Tethered Capture, and Start Tethered Capture, which gives you this box here. You can set up your naming convention just here, and your session name goes in here. And you just have to choose on your hard drive where you're going to save your photos. I recommend saving it straight into your Lightroom library, so they're there for you when you want to edit them. And click OK. Once you've done that, this little control panel pops up and it shows you the camera that's connected here. And you can just go now and take a photograph, and that photo should appear straight into your computer like this. If you want to control the camera from the PC, click on this live button, the green light pops up, and you can adjust the camera settings and take the photo using this big white button here. And that is it, Lightroom tethering.